Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome everyone to the Music is Life live web series brought to you by Unfiltered Fusion Podcast. I'm your host D. And we're trying out something new, so let me give you a quick rundown of how we're gonna do this, right? So the Music is Life web series, we're gonna take the top 5 albums, hip hop and R&B of each year and give our personal opinions on what we think is the best albums of that year. So we're gonna start each year off with a fun fact. So we're gonna start off with 1990, like this. Fun facts. In 1990, Iraqi dictator Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, which led to the Gulf War. Responding to Iraq's invasion of Kuwait, the United States and 39 other countries launched military operations in the Persian Gulf known as Operation Desert Shield and Operation Desert Storm. President George Bush signed the Americans with Disability Act into law. David Dinkins was sworn in as the first African-American mayor of New York City. The Cold War ended and East and West Germany reunited. Time Warner Cable was launched. Microsoft released Windows 3.0 and the Hubble telescope went into space. The Simpsons debuted on Fox and General Hospital aired its 7,000th episode. Apartheid was abolished in South Africa after the release of Nelson Mandela. The first in-car satellite navigation launched by Pioneer in 1990. And last but not least, the first web server was invented, which was the foundation for the internet. And those are your fun facts. As you can hear in the background, our background music was brought to us by High Five. I like the way. Right on, right on. So let's get into it. All right. So, being that our intro music was R&B, we're gonna start with R&B this year, right? And if you can't tell, I'm by myself today as we try this out. We're gonna normally have guests come in and out, and have rotating guests come in and do this with me. So we're gonna go from 1990 up until 2024. Or maybe 25, depending on how long it takes us to get there. But we're going to do this weekly. It's going to be live on Facebook, Twitch, as of right now. Later on, we're going to eventually move on to live on YouTube and maybe even TikTok and X, which is known as Twitter. So, we're starting out with R&B. And my first album up is In Vogue, Born to Sing. Nice little album. Ladies did their thing. The songs I really liked on that album was Hold On and Don't Go. Don't Go was probably my favorite song on there. I just love the beat too. It was real smooth, melodic, and they really put their foot in it when they sung. Album number 2 is probably my second favorite on the list, if not the first. It was Belle Biv DeVoe. And the title of the album was Poison. It was their first album after separating from New Edition, which is my favorite group of all time. And my favorite songs off that album was I Thought It Was Me, Do Me, When Will I See You Smile Again. So the album number 2 was Belle Biv DeVoe, which is Ricky Bell, Michael Bivins, and Ron DeVoe. Up third was Babyface with the Tender Lover album. It's been a long time since I listened to this album, but I do remember it fondly because 1990 was a pivotal year in my life, and I remember that album like it was yesterday. So my songs off that album was Sunshine, which is a huge song for him, and probably the one song that mostly everybody across all generations remember was Whip Appeal, as well as Soon as I Get Home. Those are my top 3 songs off that album. Album 4 was Keith Sweat, I Give All My Love to You. Keith Sweat is a very unique individual, right? Either you like him or you don't. The tone of his voice, some people don't like, but nobody can take away from that he wrote good songs and made good hits. So the songs from that album I really particularly liked was Merry Go Round and the title track, I'll Give All My Love to You. Next, we have Johnny Gill with his self-titled album. and this, which was probably his first one. I'm sure it's his first solo since joining New Edition, and is when he really made a name for himself solo. He was already known because he was a solo artist before joining with New Edition, but he really came into his own at this time, and now he's pretty much remembered for these songs. And my favorite songs from that album was Rub You the Right Way, his iconic hit My, and Fair Weather Friend. And last but not least, with R&B, it's Tony, the Revival. I really like this group. They've made hits, and Raphael Saadiq is one of my favorite artists of all time. So the songs I like off this album was The Blues, the classic It Never Rains in Southern California, and Whatever You Want. And those are my R&B albums for the year. So we're going to get into hip-hop. But as we do, I'm going to give you a little music break towards rap. Okay. For those who don't know, that was Digital Underground's The Humpty Dance, which is the big song that year. So I felt it was only right to give this one love as we do our countdown our hip-hop / rap albums of the year for 1990. Their album was called The Six Packets. Digital Underground album was called The Six Packets. It also released that year, but it did not crack my top albums of the year. So we're going to start off with MC Hammer, Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him, as one of the albums of the year. Hailing from Oakland, California. Everybody knows. I should say, if you're of a certain age group, you know about MC Hammer. Hammer wasn't nothing to play with. He had a lot of hits. He's well known for going broke after supporting a lot of people while he was on tour, making his money with his album. He was known to have as much as 300 people on his entourage sometimes. And it'll make you run through a lot of money real quick. But the songs I liked from that album was Here Comes the Hammer, his hit You Can't Touch This, and Pray. Pray was was a gospel feeling song, which he pretty much did on most of his albums. He would give you a gospel feeling song. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he actually later on did a full gospel song, or a gospel album, I should say. But Pray was one of his better ones, and I really like that album. Or I should say that song. Moving on next, going on to the East Coast with Public Enemy, Mr. Chuck D, and the infamous Flavor Flav. And they dropped the album Fear of a Black Planet that year. It's a lot you can say because that was at a time of when the world and hip hop alone was going through a lot of righteousness in the industry. So you had people like Public Enemy, Poor Righteous Teachers, the Jungle Brothers, Tribe Called Quest. A lot of people moving around in that circle and that type of vibe, making those type of albums. So for the Fear of Black Planet, the songs I really loved off that album was 911 Was a Joke, Welcome to the Terror Dome, and Can't Do Nothing For You, Man. Right? So, for album number 3, moving back to the West, Mr. Ice Cube with America's Most Wanted. I want to say this was his first album, his first solo album after leaving NWA, but off America's Most, The Ninja You Love to Hate, and Once Upon a Time in the Projects were the songs I really was digging off that album. Next, staying with the West Coast, is the group that Ice Cube left with NWA, They returned with the album 100 Miles and Running, which is pretty short. It only had like 5 or 6 songs on it, 5 if I'm not mistaken. It was hard to replace Ice Cube as a writer because he wrote for everybody. But the songs off that album I did like was 100 Miles and Running and Just Don't Bite It. Eazy was a larger than life character. MC Ren was pretty dope himself. And Dre is Dre, and DJ Yella was like the low man on the totem pole. But he still played his part. Next was Mr. Short Dog, Too Short, straight out of Oakland, the Bay Area, right? He dropped the album Short Dogs in the House with some classic joints on there. But the songs off this album that I liked was It's Your Life, The Ghetto, and Short But Funky. Those last two was very huge, especially Short But Funky, as far as what I like. I love the beat to it. It had a smooth, funky groove to it that you can just listen to it at any time. Last but not least, on my albums of the year is LL Cool J, Mama Said Knock You Out. The Def Jam artist himself. The original GOAT of rap. The one who coined and invented the term greatest of all time being GOAT. So from that album, I really love The Booming System, Around the Way Girl, the title track, Mama Said Knock You Out, and Jingling Baby. Very good songs. LL is very underrated as far as how people put him in his spot in the echelon of rap. No one really ever mentions him in the top 5 or even top 10 or 15. But I believe his career and his album, his discography can stand up to anybody that's come before him and after him. So, with this being a short episode, we're going to wrap it up with LL Cool J. But I'm saying with LL Cool J being the last, we're going to wrap it up with a little bit more hip-hop music. So we go out of here with A Tribe Called Quest. We Need Apple Bomb. As I said, we're going to do this live every week. One year a week. And we're going to do this pretty much every Thursday, if not Friday. We're going to work it in, figure out the date, depending on my guests, as we go in and out. So, like I said, this first episode, I was just trying it out, see how y'all like it. Please give me any feedback that you have, and we will get better with this. We'll have more guests, as I said, and we'll make this thing better as we get into the years with R&B and hip hop. So, as we let this groove for a little bit, we'll catch y'all next week. Peace.